Missions Tarbiyah Department, let me welcome you all to this first webinar online Tarbiyah conference. Thank to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for blessing us this opportunity to be together and then remind ourselves that what is our roles and responsibilities by being with the Islamic movement. This program will continue. First and foremost, I'm going to invite central leader in charge of Tarbiyah, Dr. Muhammad Arif. He is known to all of you. He has served in Central Shura before. He was the president of South Zone in the past years. Currently, he is member of Central Shura and in charge of the Tarbiyah, which is a very important part of our movement, inshallah. So I'm going to pass on to Dr. Muhammad Arif to talk to you about the structure, what we've done so far, and what our plans are. Over to you, Dr. Arif.
جزاكم الله خير brother Zahid. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. First of all, I would like to welcome you all in our Tarbiyah conference today, which is basically a substitute to our traditional zonal Tarbiyah programs, which we missed due to the lockdown situation. So we thought, okay, let's at least do one online and see how it goes, how it will be received. And inshallah, if lockdown is lifted later in the year completely, then we should be able to hold our normal physical Tarbiyah as well again. So that was a bit of background to it. In my view, being in charge of Tarbiyah is all about continuous and repetitive reminders, basically to improve ourselves so that we keep ourselves protected from the evil of shaitan. So this is in a sense the Tarbiyah and the concept of Tarbiyah is. And even if you have heard a topic before, I think it is always good to attend it again, listen to it again, and be reminded again. Today's program, inshallah, we have lined up three main programs. Last 3-4 weeks we spent, Tarbiyah committee, I would like to congratulate, we spent 3-4 weeks in discussing the layout of this program so that it can be not so light, not so heavy, and be fruitful and serve the purpose as a reminder. So we cut short some of the programs. So basically today we'll have 3 programs. Brother Zahid after me, he will speak about Tarbiyah structure of UKIM from his experience. And then there will be a workshop from the South Zone workshop team. And as you know, that they developed few workshops during the last 1 year and conducted successfully for selected participants. So they're going to give a demonstration for about half an hour. And then we'll have a speaker from Pakistan, Hafiz Muhammad Idris, who will speak to us about steadfastness in the difficult situations. So that will conclude more or less our program, hopefully within 2 hours. Finally, I would like to thank all our members, associate members, Shura members, and everybody who have participated and supported our Tarbiyah webinars throughout the year. Particularly, I would like to thank our ulamas who have been available all the time to deliver speeches in our Tarbiyah webinars. And also our sisters, particularly, I would like to thank Sister Sadia and all her team that they have, with full commitment and full-heartedness, attended our webinars, and their attendance have been well appreciated and marvelous. I would like to just announce a surprise in our today's program. We will have Noman Shah with us later today. Inshallah, he will recite a nasheed. And I would like to end by saying that Ramadan Mubarak, and may Allah.
Sorry, my apologies. I was muted. I was trying to thank you so much, my dear brother Arif, for explaining the layout of the program and made my job a lot easier. And now I'm going to move over to the next segment of the program, which is, you all know, you must have seen the program, which is going to be delivered by a renowned researcher, scholar, and obviously our leader, Dr. Zahid Pervez. Dr. Zahid Pervez is an academic personality, spent his life in research, and also has served within the operation by leading Islamic movement within UK. From his student life, he has been leading and he has been serving and he's been associated with Islamic movement. He has a deep understanding about the importance of the topic that which he is going to be talking about, which is Tarbiyah structure and the syllabus. And we are going to hand over without any further delay to my dear brother, Dr. Zahid Pervez. Over to you, Dr. Zahid Pervez.
Jazakallah khairan, brother Said. I'm just trying to get my slide to show you. Just one moment. Okay, are you able to see my slide?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Sorry, just one. I'm trying to do the slideshow.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you see that now? Yeah?
Brilliant now. Perfect.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulihil Kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear brothers and sisters, first of all, it's really nice to be with everyone across the country. And I thank Brother Arif and his team for organizing this event. It's so important for UKIM members to meet together, whether in an online environment or physically, because if we don't meet at a national level, we will not feel part of a national movement. And we'll continue to operate in a fragmented way in our separate branches. So it's very important, and I think this is a very good initiative. So Jazakallah khairan, Brother Arif and your team. The topic which has been given to me is about Tarbiyah, and I will look at the Tarbiyya system. So these are the questions on the next screen. I hope you can see it, which I want you to think about. So what I try to do is try to cover those things which are not normally covered at a local level. Otherwise, people coming to a national level will not find value if we keep on repeating the same things which they are getting at the local levels. So I want you to stand back, look at yourself, look at your role in society, look at your purpose and mission in life, and try to imagine yourself standing before Allah on the day of judgment. He is going to ask you that what did you do with your life, with your time, with your resources? And so, we need to stand back every now and then and put the whole of our life into context. And part of our work is tarbiyah and dawah in the society and khidmat of people. And we are going to be questioned about these things. So today, let's stand back and look at what does tarbiyah mean? What does it really mean? Does it mean to attend a few talks, a few tarbiyah circles, and then continue our life as normal? Or tarbiyah means something else? So if we do not get proper balanced tarbiyah, then what are the problems we are likely to face within ourselves and within our organization? And then in light of that, building on these things, I will move on to look at what are UKIM's tarbiyah objectives, what type of people we really want to develop, who will be appropriate for this part of the world in which we have settled and made our homes, and our future generations are growing up here. What sort of people what sort of Muslims we really want to develop and why? And then how do we go about developing? And then I will just look at the Tarbiyya system, the knowledge, the skills, the competencies, what tools we can use, what are the principles of Tarbiyya, and so on. So some of these things I have to zoom through very quickly because time is short. And this presentation, I have adapted it from another presentation which took me about 2 hours to go through, but I will try to zoom through a couple of these things, inshallah. So the first thing is, what is Tarbiyah? And when you look at the English equivalent, personal development comes very close to the meaning of Tarbiyah. But personal development in the West is understood as knowledge and skills related to working in a material world to achieve material objectives. Whereas Tarbiyah includes the whole of our being. Yeah, it's development of our spiritual and the material, the physical as well. Yeah. So it's similar to the meaning of education If you look at the Latin root of the word education, it means to draw out, that the potential, the ability is within ourselves. But education helps to bring out that potential, those abilities, that way of thinking, that concern, which is deep inside ourselves. So that's what education, and that's what Tarbiyah does, makes us into a better human being. So the literal meaning, it's the root is also related to Rabb as well, like caring. Rabb, the Lord, He cares and nourishes. So increase and nurture and growth. So it's all to do with making something better. Yeah, that's what Tarbiyah is. And if you look at the classical scholars, it's a gradual process. Sometimes it could take a long time for people to gradually develop, to perfection, becoming good human beings. Now, it should be a very balanced approach as well. So it's not only to do with your mind, intellectual discussions, but it also affects the heart as well, to take out greed and jealousy and hatred and all the negative, and fill our heart with the positive things. Yeah, it's about our nafs and our limbs. How do we use our hands and eyes and all those things? Yeah. So it encompasses the physical, the spiritual, the intellectual, the emotional, the moral development. Yeah, all of this is how do we grow these things in a very balanced way. So that's what Tarbiyah is. And look at yourself. You attend Tarbiyah circles in your localities and nationally. Are you developing your whole being in according to these definitions? Now, these other words, Talim is part of Tarbiyah, which only relates with knowledge and understanding. Unfortunately, a lot of the study circles are based on Talim. The Tazkiyah and the real Tarbiyah is not done in them. People come intellectually, discuss things, but it doesn't affect their heart, because Tarbiyah really cannot be done in a classroom environment. Until you are not engaged in the practical work, the real Tarbiyah, we will never learn sabr in a classroom environment or from reading a book. Just as we cannot learn to drive just from studying a book. Until you don't sit in a car and actually learn, you will not learn to drive. So Tarbiyah, the practical work and the classroom environment must go hand in hand. This development of making us cultured, discipline, refining our etiquettes and behavior, tahzeeb, all of this is important, making us caring people, developing that wisdom within us. Yeah, so all of these are part of Tarbiyah. Yeah. Now, if we do not have this balanced Tarbiyah, then we will face all kinds of problems, as we are seeing, which are deep rooted within our communities, and unfortunately in some parts of our organization as well. So whenever these problems occur, that means these are signs of lack of balanced Tarbiyah. Yeah. So for example, if there is lack of sincerity, people are working very hard, but to gain recognition, appreciation, for show, for positions and things like that. They become active at certain times, and rest of the year they don't become active. That is a sign that proper Tarbiyah, the people's connection with Allah and accountability to Him on the Day of Judgment, is not deep rooted. Some people are very strong on their ritualistic ibadah. They pray, they fast, they go to the details, make sure their hands are put in the right place, they do the right position, following all the fiqh rules and everything. However, when they pray, the khushu is lacking, their character, ikhlaq is weak. Yeah, sometimes people's ikhlaq is very strong, but they are weak on ibadah. They're not particular about prayers and fasting and things like that. They're very casual about it. Sometimes people are strong in character and weak in some aspects of ikhlaq, but they are very weak on interpersonal relations, which is also part of ikhlaq. Yeah, sometimes people are good on the basics, but they are very lax on halal and haram. And halal and haram, I don't mean only, food and alcohol keeping away, but this ghibat, this gossip, this is also haram. Riba, lottery, all these things are also, people are very lax about these things. Now, this I have put in blue is that some people lack. That is also part of tarbiyah. They may be very good in the ibadat and ikhlaq and so on, but they seriously lack understanding of society, the world, the context, and politically they're very naive. Whatever messages they see on WhatsApp, they just believe without analyzing, without questioning, without evaluating things, and they fall into all kinds of traps which are set for them. Yeah. So these blue things are related directly with movements work. There are some people, who join us, but they are not able to give up their individual opinions. So they get into a lot of tensions with members, and they cannot follow the organizational discipline and so on. So these are all different ways which shows that the tarbiyah is not very balanced. Just to share my own experience, when we were young Muslims, we had a number of organizations coming and doing our tarbiyah. UK Islamic Mission elders were one of the key people who did our tarbiyah, but also, like Ustad Khurram Murad, may Allah have mercy on his soul, grant him place in Jannah, Professor Khurshid Ahmed. But here I want to give you example of the Malaysians. The Malaysians were in very large numbers at the universities at that time, and a lot of them came and ran our circles. Now, it was very clear at that time, the Islamic movement in Malaysia was at its very infant stage, but the way they worked, they really took the bull by the horn, and they showed zero tolerance on tarbiyah. So they developed a very comprehensive, sophisticated tarbiyah system, and they made sure that anybody who becomes a member, without any exception, they must go through that tarbiyah system in a very systematic way. Yeah, and they must be evaluated and assessed. If they do not pass that assessment, they were not allowed to become members and be part of the movement. So it's a very like an army style, the way they did the tarbiyah, very aggressively they tried to make sure. And it really helped them. And I can see within 20, 30 years, a lot of those grew into large movements, and they became partners. Anwar Ibrahim and all these people, part of that at that time, they were students. So it's very important that a balanced tarbiyah is given. Yeah. So how do we go about building a balanced tarbiyah system? Yeah. So first thing is, before you start diving into the content of they must read this and they must read that, they must attend this, they must attend that, they must do this and they must do that, you must always start with a framework which guides what sort of things you want them to have tarbiyah on. So I'll give you a number of examples of the different frameworks you can have. And then from those frameworks, you develop objectives. What sort of people we are really trying to develop. Once the So I give you some examples of the frameworks which can help us to design our tarbiyah system. So this is one example of a framework, and this is from our fuqaha, that they said the total sum knowledge of Islam is three things: how to build our personal relationship with Allah, how to improve our relationship with people, that's ikhlaq, and then our mission and movement, because we understand Islam by not only a few rituals, do's and don'ts, and few practices, but for us, Islam is an iman and a movement and a mission. Yeah. So these three things can help to develop. How do we strengthen our relationship with Allah? How do we improve relationship with people, our ikhlaq, our brotherhood? And then how do we understand our mission and purpose in life? Another example of framework is the concept of a khalifa. So this is my next screen. Yeah. If you look at the word khalifa, God said to the angels, I am about to create a khalifa. Now, khalifa has many, many things. If we concentrate on this concept, a very comprehensive tarbiyah program can be developed from just this very concept. First thing is human dignity. that Allah created us not like any other animals. We are human beings. We are his vicegerents. We have a very noble position. We were created with dignity. So what is that human dignity, and that we do not fall below our dignity, and things like shirk and kufr and crimes which bring us low. A whole syllabus can be developed on this. Second thing is, we are all equal before Allah. Everyone is a Khalifa. There's no high or low before Allah except on the basis of taqwa. So this concept of rights and duties and equality and social justice, importance of this comes out of this. Secondly, we cannot force people to our deen. La ikraha fid deen. Allah has given us this freedom of choice. All Khalifas, so they have a right to choose to believe in him or not to believe in him. So this freedom of belief, understanding different belief systems, and not to impose ourselves, using wisdom.
But Zahid, somebody's muted you. Could you unmute yourself? But Zahid, you're muted. Yeah, Dr. Zahid, you're muted. If you go to Teams and then unmute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we
yeah,
can't see you.
yeah.
Yeah, can you see that? See my slide now?
Yes, fine, perfect.
Okay, so very quickly, because I have to speed through this. Now, the Khalifa, because Allah has given the earth to us, we are his vicegerents, so we have to be stewards of the earth. So this duty of care is inherent in this. So Allah gave balance on this earth for us, this ecological balance, this economic balance, this social balance. Man came and disturbed this, but the role of a Khalifa is to restore this balance. And also a Khalifa has a mission on this earth. We are not the masters of the earth, but we are his vicegerent. We must exercise our power according to his guidance. This is why whatever his guidance the master tells us to, we have to do. So can you see a very powerful Tarbiyah framework can be developed from this? So whichever framework you choose, you can develop a very comprehensive framework. Another part of this is looking at the concepts of the Quran. How do we build Muslims? How do we build mu'mins? How do we build muttaqis, muhsins, salihin, siddiqeen, shuhada, people who do dawah and the mujahid? All these are very powerful concepts to help us to develop. So this is what I call a framework. And this framework helps to set the objectives of Tarbiyah. Yeah. So the objectives from all of these things I get that our Tarbiyya system must help people to align their whole self, their ruh and their body, their heart, mind and soul, their thinking, their understanding and everything to the natural order of the universe. Everything in the universe is a Muslim, follow Allah's set order. And if we align ourselves, whatever Allah wants us to do, Allah's will, the natural fitrah, that is there. So that includes intellectual development, spiritual, moral, and all those things. So this for a Tarbiyah framework includes conceptual Tarbiyah. What is a movement? Why do we need a movement? Why do we need Jama'ah? What is dawah in this type, in the context of this environment and so on? There's a lot of conceptual issues. What is jihad? The word which is being demonized in this part of the world. So there is moral and spiritual Tarbiyah. There is movement Tarbiyah, helping people to to give and take, how to make decisions, the organizational discipline. And even if you don't like a particular decision, you have to abide by the decision of the majority, understanding the constitution. This is all movement Tarbiyah. And then strategic Tarbiyah, what I call hikmah, what goals we want to achieve, how do we want to achieve them. So there's different objectives you can set at different levels of the organizations. Yeah. So mind Tarbiyah, heart Tarbiyah, character Tarbiyah, social Tarbiyah, yeah, movement Tarbiyah, and so on. Yeah. Now let's look at knowledge and skills, knowledge and understanding. This syllabus, I don't know if you can see this table. This was developed by Dr. Arif. He's the head of the Tarbiyah at the moment. So this, I felt it was very comprehensive. I've just, Dr. Arif added just one, let us be Muslims to that. Otherwise, I feel this is a very good framework Dr. Arif has developed. And anybody who goes through this will be able to develop good knowledge and understanding, not only of our deen, the fries, halal, haram, hukuk Allah, hukuk al-ibad, but also of our mission and movement and all those things. So for me, this is essential. It must be monitored, and the new people joining us, without any exception, they must go through this syllabus. And I feel that this must be aggressively pushed to all the different hierarchies of the organization. And at the branch level, there should be zero tolerance, that every member must go through these books. I went through many of these. I could say that without these books, I would have been a typical Mazbi person who sits inside the mosque, does Allahu all day long, prays and fast, but does not understand Islam as a mission, that as a responsibility of engaging with society in a positive way. This is a very powerful literature. So that's our knowledge and understanding. And I thank Dr. Arif, for for this, and it should be circulated. Second thing is, this develops our knowledge and understanding of deen. The second thing for Islamic workers, we need the skills and competencies. Skills are things which you are able to do. You can write a letter, you can use social media, you can use the computer, IT skill. So skill is something which you can do. Competency is more than that. It brings your whole skills and your abilities and your knowledge, how to apply your skills, knowledge to a particular problem, issue, a context. So it's much broader than that, yeah? So skills are things which you can do, like you can code, you can weld, you can write, you can do computer programming, you can speak a particular language, and so on. Competency is more with your approach, drawing on your abilities, your knowledge, and your skills on how to solve a problem, which will mean a lot of skills need to be brought together. Yeah, how to negotiate, how to plan, all these things are competencies. So if we look at the skills, there are general skills for Islamic workers, lion skills, people skills, specialist skills. General skills include some of these things. Yeah. Some of these things, yeah. On the next slide, lion skills, self-awareness. Are you focused people, purposeful people? Yeah. Are you confident in what you are doing? Are you proactive, self-starter? Networking skills is the most important skills in this category. We have so limited networks. We need to build networks with the powerful, with the elite, with the people who control the media, with media outlets, with intellectuals, with professors, with policymakers. Without those networking skills, our message cannot get across to different levels of society. This is important. People skills, interpersonal skills, team working skills, leadership skills, specialist skills, management skills. What I was taught at a very young age, in fact, UK Islamic Mission in the early 80s, to our members meetings, national, I think Rashid Ahmad Siddiqui Saab, may Allah give him a high place in Jannah. He was the president at that time. He used to bring people from other movements to come and talk to us. And I clearly remember, I was very young, maybe early 20s at that time, this Ikhwan brother who came, and he said within the Ikhwan at that time, each member, it was compulsory on them to have a professional job, and side by side with their professional job, they must be an expert on another skill. And he gave an example that he's a surgeon himself, but he learned how to sew clothes as a separate skill. So he drew on his surgery skills to learn how to sew clothes, and they both helped each other. So each Ikhwan member had to learn different skills, gardening, different skills, cooking, because you never know what you need in the future. Yeah. And then competencies. Again, I need 2 hours to explain each one of them. Systems thinking competencies. Are you able to see a problem not in isolation, but in connection with other things? Like, why does divorce taking place and it's increasing within our communities? We have a very limited approach, or it's the mother and father, husband and wife, or within the family to blame, and we try to patch up things, but we don't see the connection of divorce with the economic system, with the social system, with our community. We don't link the problem. That's why we are not able to solve our problem. Yeah, environmental problems are caused by economic problems. Yeah, anticipatory means that the consequences of your actions today, you are able to anticipate what's going to happen in the future. This akhirah oriented thinking. Normative thinking is, this is what's happening now, this is what should be happening. Why the norm, what we want is not happening? What is the cause of the problem? Strategic competencies. We want to go there, how to get there. Collaboration is, how do we do things in collaboration with other people? Critical thinking, you look at the strengths and the weaknesses, evaluating things. These are all important competencies. So coming to the conclusion now, the tools. How do you do all these things? Regular reading of the Quran must be embedded into every member's everyday life. Fikr of akhirah, muhasiba is so important. Intense ibadah and zikr. Some of this alone when nobody is there with you, to develop this connection with Allah, taqwa, tawakkul, tawbah, shukr, sabr, all dawah and these things. You must get involved practically, because these things are very powerful tools for tarbiyah, for changing heart, mind and soul. And the best means of tarbiyah is your own reading. I hear and I forget. I've forgotten the term now. I hear and I forget. I I I teach and I remember. I do and I understand. So it's by doing you will understand things. Yeah, engagement in your organization, your community is a very powerful way to develop yourself. And then your stock taking, active in engagement and so on. Find critical friends. Don't find friends who will praise you all the time. Find people, say, look, I want to know my weaknesses. Please tell me, like a brother. This Muslim is a mirror of another Muslim. It's very important. Now, I will finish here, very last few points. And these are directly from Ustad Khurram Murad. May Allah give him a high place in Jannah. Number one, organization can help, but personal tarbiyah is our personal responsibility. On the day of judgment, we cannot blame our organization or community or our parents, because they didn't help us. We are personally responsible. Secondly, if you don't have this irada, you're not determined to change yourself. You can take the horse to water, but you can't force the horse to drink. Yeah, you can bring people to study circle, but while they are sitting there daydreaming, their heart, mind, and soul is not there, they will not learn anything. So each member must develop this determination to develop. Yeah, it requires a lot of discipline. Organize yourself. Certain hours per day you must spend in your personal development. Yeah, focus. Say what type of skills, knowledge you want to develop, then focus and then strive for excellence. Don't just read enough to be an ordinary Muslim. Try to excel, be an expert in that area. Yeah. So, and personal development must be integrated with your everyday life. Every opportunity you are taking to learn. Yeah. Okay, brother Dr. Arif and brother Said, I'll finish here.
Jazakumullah khairan, Dr. Zahid, Pervez. May Allah give barakah in your knowledge and skills. You've summarized such a wide topic, very important topic in